So I think the next level of this discussion, and I think people will start having it at some point, is the Deebo versus Aiyuk conversation. Because if you remember, Deebo signed a new deal, but it was on the shorter end of length for most big receivers, and so you have Aiyuk this year, you pick up his option for next year, then it becomes a conversation. If you're paying high teens for Aiyuk and in the 20s for Deebo, I think is what they're paying. Like, do you have to pick between one of them? And if you do, who is the one that you choose? From a durability standpoint, this is the unfortunate thing for Deebo is the Niners had him running the ball a lot, and he was getting hit by linebackers instead of defensive backs, and he's getting dinged up a little bit. And then you hope that he's gonna his body's gonna be right and he'll be fine. He did not have the fantastic season last year that he did the year prior, but that it becomes a who do you choose? Who do you go with? That is a conversation. I mean, that decision doesn't have to be made now, but I imagine as you're putting all these things together, and we know how smart the Niners are around the cap, Parag is pulling all this stuff out where we don't even think it's possible. And to the point where I'm just like, every time I see a new deal the Niners do, I go, I just don't understand salary cap again. But they have to be sort of planning out that way a little bit. Like, do you have any like initial thoughts on what you would do there if faced with that? Do we have to choose one or two?
It's interesting that I think what the saving grace is, it looks like for the next 8 years the cap is going to be going up at about what you would figure a contract of that size would be, about $15 to $16 million a year. So you should be able to fit these guys in, as the deals come up. Deebo, the way his contract is structured, 25 is the big number. Like this year, he goes from 6 to 8 or 9, 8.6. And then his first big number is 24, which it goes up to 28. And they're stuck with that because the dead cap number on that year is about the same. So you would not realize any savings by letting him go. But then 25, his dead cap number goes down to 15 on a salary of 24. So that puts him in a situation where either you're looking at, if you wanted to move off of him completely, you could. For 15 million, you could just cut him. Or what is more likely is he's in a situation where that money starts to get pushed and you like restructure, you extend him again for for more, so you add on more years to kind of spread that money out. Because the way the contract is structured now, it's 24 million, 28, 24, and then 8 and 1. So you could push money. When you look at it on paper, it's clear what they could do, that if they're happy and everybody's happy and they believe he's healthy, that you can just push. We could extend him, push more money forward, and then just roll it like that. Or if in 25 you figure, well, we are going to have to make a decision long term on Aiyuk, and that's our guy. And then at that point, you either just outright cut him, or you trade him, or whatever. I'm talking about Deebo. But I just don't think that if his health is not an issue, I don't think that the cap alone would be a reason that you couldn't have them both. It would be that the only reason I would think you'd move off Deebo is if you just don't feel that for whatever reason, health or whatever, that his production is going to be commensurate with, being amongst the highest paid receivers in the league. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the gamble that he took when he took that shorter deal, was that, you 25 2025, and his value wouldn't be the same. But I'm sure his gamble was that he'd still be playing at that level and he would be able to get another bite at the apple, um, at 30 or 31.